emergency alert. We hear from frontline workers who say violence and dangerous situations are plaguing a Saskatoon ER. Saskatchewan's ag sector meets in Saskatoon. Their thoughts as a high-level meeting with China on tariffs inches closer. And will a separate investigation be launched into a deadly carbon monoxide leak at a Saskatchewan apartment?
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight at St. Paul's Hospital, where staff say violence in the emergency department is all too common, and it's time for the province to address it. Keenan Sorokon has more on calls for action.
Melissa McGilvery is hoping a letter signed by more than 200 staff at St. Paul's Hospital Emergency Department will get the attention of leadership.
Perhaps people would pause and listen.
The letter has dozens of testimonials detailing knives, guns, and even a grenade being brought into the hospital. It warns that violent incidents are not only possible, but probable. One worker describes watching a security guard get stabbed multiple times for asking someone in the waiting room to stop smoking. A protective vest helped avoid serious injuries. Another worker describes having a patient spit blood in their face and mouth, and another watched a patient bite a nursing student to the point of bleeding, knowing the harm it would have so early in her career.
I don't want to use the word burnout because it's not that staff don't want to provide care, it's that they don't feel safe to provide care.
The letter calls for leadership to meet with staff and visit the unit outside of photo ops or ceremonies. Workers also want more security on staff and to have metal detectors put in place. Until then, they want security to use the handheld metal detectors they say are in storage.
What I see is that the workers don't really have input into what is happening in their work area.
The union representing security staff at Saskatchewan hospitals says security isn't just calming people down in impatient waiting rooms, they're also being tasked with addressing serious incidents.
I don't know what security gets paid, but it is not enough.
The SHA says actions are underway to enhance safety and security protocols in facilities, and the piloted use of metal detectors at the Royal University Hospital will help guide future deployment at other urban centers. Health Minister Jeremy Cockrell says he's been meeting with the Saskatchewan Health Authority to discuss these current challenges, and he'll have more to say in the coming days. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Leaders in the agriculture industry have gathered here in Saskatoon, and concerns regarding international trade are looming over discussions. Hallie Mandrick has the story.
As producers from across the country gather for the 43rd Annual Western Canadian Crop Production Show, many are talking about Premier Scott Moe's trip to China and the implications it could have on the industry.
Expectations, I think we're cautious on that. We're optimistic that there'll be some sort of a way forward. I don't know when that's going to happen, but we do anticipate that at some point those tariffs will go away. The sooner the better.
It was announced on Monday that Moe would be joining Prime Minister Mark Carney on the trip to China. Many at the conference shared hope that this move indicates Saskatchewan will have a seat at the table in conversations regarding trade and international tariffs, particularly the hefty tariffs on Canadian canola products.
My optimism would probably be on the higher end now that there's going to be some resolve, if not immediate, probably in the very near future. I would have to think for the Prime Minister to be going that they probably think that there's some end to this, and I would hope that there would be.
Bell says last year's harvest season was fruitful for farmers in Western Canada, but the economic situation has made it difficult for producers to see that reflected in their income.
Unfortunately, a lot of it's still in the bin, so the sooner the better. Obviously, they're going to want to market that crop and get some cash in hand, both to pay bills, but also there's a crop to plan for 2026.
The pressure to have these tariffs lifted is increasing as producers hope to plan for the spring.
It's obviously something we really do need. It's going to have an impact on a lot of the crush side. It's going to have an impact, obviously, on the market. And it'll also have an impact on what farmers decide to put into the ground as well.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has put the brakes on proposed changes to animal health traceability requirements. Jacob Carr has more on why the decision was made and how it's affecting Saskatchewan cattle producers.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency's decision to hit the pause button on proposed additional regulations on animal traceability is music to the ears of organizations like the Saskatchewan Cattle Association.
Saskatchewan Cattle Association called for a halt to these regulations, and we've been repeatedly and strongly advocating that movement tracking cannot be burdensome or onerous on our producers.
According to Ross, traceability involves the ID of an animal, the premise ID to show where the animal is located, and other tracking of things like disease history. The province's Ministry of Agriculture is also pleased that the federal government has put a temporary halt to the possible changes, saying further discussions are needed with industry stakeholders and provincial agricultural ministers.
The federal minister assured me that we would probably get it on the agenda at the next FPT meeting and have some discussions further on really making sure that the cow-calf producers and others aren't so impacted by some of the regulation changes that CFIA had recommended.
The CFIA says that a modern and reliable traceability system will allow animals to be tracked through the production system, supports faster and more targeted disease response, and helps limit impacts on producers, communities, and trade. But Ross says the regulations as proposed, if passed, will tack on to the workload and the bill for Saskatchewan cattle producers.
For our cow-calf producers, there's going to be a little bit of extra scanning and going to be some more equipment needed and that type of thing. For our fairs and exhibitions, there's going to be some extra equipment.
The CFIA says they will continue to consult about the regulations to those in the cattle industry, along with agricultural associations and governments. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
12 Saskatchewan communities saw record-breaking temperatures yesterday. According to Environment Canada, the Cypress Hills area was the warmest record breaker at 10.6 degrees, up just slightly from the record it set in 1996. Meadow Lake reached a high of 8.4, beating its old record set in 1985 of 4.1. Prince Albert, Melfort, Nipawin, and Waskesiu Lake also setting records. Maple Creek just missed setting a record, but still saw a high of 12 degrees and was the hot spot in the province. As for Saskatoon, again, no record yet, but we saw 4.9 degrees yesterday. Regina saw 3.6. These warmer temperatures have city officials monitoring road conditions. Despite this midwinter thaw, the city says it will not grade all residential streets. Crews will respond to areas on an as-needed basis rather than broad residential grading. If you're concerned about rutting on your street, you can reach the city's customer care center line. A roadway crew will inspect the area, and if conditions pose a safety concern, grading will be completed. It's too soon to know if we set any records today, but another plus temperature day out there.
Yeah, and Chantal, as you said, many records broken yesterday, and pretty much the whole southern half of the province saw plus temperatures yesterday and today, and our hotspot today. Again, Maple Creek saw temperatures in the double digits on the plus side, of course. And here in Saskatoon, we saw some sunshine and some plus temperatures for most of the day. But Chantal, you'll want to enjoy it while you can, because temperatures are expected to dip back below freezing on Friday. But I'll have your full weather forecast later in the show.
A former Saskatoon police officer charged with assault is expected to enter a plea later this month. Dylan Kemp and Jason Garland were fired from the Saskatoon Police Service following an off-duty party on September 14th of 2024. An investigation into the gathering alleges an assault occurred, leading to the charge against Kemp. The former constable was not at Saskatoon Provincial Court today, but his lawyer told the court that he is prepared to enter a plea in 2 weeks on January 27th. A former Saskatoon real estate agent facing hate speech charges is now representing himself in court. Brandon Taylor Moore is charged with public incitement of hatred and unsafe storage of a firearm. He also faces additional hate propaganda charges, including willfully promoting hatred and willfully promoting anti-Semitism by condoning, denying, or downplaying the Holocaust. The 46-year-old is accused of using social media to promote hatred against Jewish people. During a court appearance today, Moore's lawyer was granted permission to withdraw from the case, leaving Moore to represent himself. The judge granted Moore access to the evidence against him under strict conditions, requiring him to keep the material private, use it only for his defense, and eventually return it to the Crown. A public inquest into the death of an inmate who died while serving time at Saskatchewan Penitentiary is scheduled for next month in Prince Albert. On November 28th of 2022, 28-year-old Brandon Lipkowski was found unresponsive in his cell. Staff began life-saving efforts and paramedics were called, but he was pronounced dead. Court records show he was sentenced earlier that year for trying to force his way into a Saskatoon basement suite with another man in January of 2020. One of the occupants of the suite was shot in the arm during the incident. The inquest into Brandon Lipkowski's death is scheduled for February 10th to the 13th. A 72-year-old man is facing charges following 5 reported frauds involving businesses. Saskatoon police say the complaints, which date back to 2023, reported having hired an accounting business to assist with payroll, but later found out they owed money and interest to the Canada Revenue Agency. Police say the investigation revealed the suspect collected the payroll portion required by law for the CRA, but did not submit the money. Police say that amount totaled more than $250,000. Renee Stock is charged with 5 counts of theft over $5,000 and 5 counts of fraud over $5,000. He made his first court appearance today. Almost a month after an 11-year-old boy died due to a carbon monoxide leak at a Regina apartment building, the provincial auditor says he will not be conducting a separate investigation despite a request from the NDP. Sierra Souza Butts on how the boy's family hopes to spread the word on and how important it is to have functioning alarms.
The Provincial Auditor of Saskatchewan has decided not to conduct an investigation of its own into a deadly carbon monoxide leak at an apartment building in Regina last month. 11-year-old Henry Losco died of carbon monoxide poisoning after a leak in his family's apartment building in downtown Regina on December 19th. The NDP sent a letter to the Auditor's office formally requesting a full review of the Technical Safety Authority of Saskatchewan, or TSASC. In a statement to CTV News, the Auditor's Office says it recognizes the profound loss of Henry Losco for his family and community and the seriousness of the concerns raised, adding, at this time, it does not plan to initiate or conduct a separate or special investigation. However, a future audit of TSASC's oversight and inspection practices remains an area of potential interest as they plan future audit work. In the meantime, Henry's father, Sergio, tells CTV News that he hasn't received any update about the ongoing investigation, saying, "My son died, and I was minutes away from death, yet none of the detectors in our unit and entire 4th floor of the building sounded any alarm." Adding, his family heard a Sask Energy ad about the importance of installing carbon monoxide detectors on every floor and is thanking Sask Energy for trying to educate landlords about the devastating consequences of not having properly installed and functioning detectors and alarms. When asked for comment, the Ministry of Government Relations says it would be inappropriate to speak to the investigation being led by Regina Fire Services, and TSASC continues to participate. CTV News has reached out to the Regina Fire and Protective Services for an update on the investigation, but did not hear back in time for broadcast. Sierra Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
A new survey suggests 7 out of 10 residents in Saskatchewan and Manitoba expect the cost of living to get worse in 2026. The MNP Consumer Debt Index found 72% of respondents anticipate higher living costs. 56% expect more housing pressure. 53% are preparing for a worsening economy and interest rate and inflation stress. Half of residents in those provinces say they're within $200 of not being able to pay bills each month, up to 7 points from the last survey. Significantly fewer residents report having 6 months of emergency savings, down 10% this quarter. Almost 2 out of 3 respondents say they need interest rates to come down from the current 2.25%. Still to come, airline authorities released details of passengers being disruptive on flights. Also, the latest from Iran as deadly protests continue. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. Canadian transportation authorities say they have logged more than 100 reports of disruptive air passengers last year. The incidents include passengers accused of inappropriate touching, instigating fights, uttering threats, sneaking onto flights, causing travel disruptions. CTV's Scott Hurst has the details.
We're talking rage at cruising altitude and sometimes even before flights get off the ground. Canadian transportation authorities logged more than 100 reports of disruptive air passengers last year. The incidents caused numerous flights to be delayed, diverted, or turned back to the gate. In many cases, the passengers causing the disturbances were arrested or escorted off the plane by police. The 114 reports include a wide range of bad behavior, including refusing to return to a seat, vaping on board, uttering threats, assault, and indecent exposure, just to name a few. 45 of the 114 reports were filed by flights departing or arriving in Calgary, by far the most for any Canadian city. It is, as we know, a major WestJet hub, followed by Toronto with 27 reports and Vancouver with 21. In a statement, a WestJet and Sunwing spokesperson said the airlines have zero tolerance for this behavior. Air Canada tells CTV News the number of reported incidents is a small fraction of the millions of flying customers every year. The reports of bad behavior, however, are actually trending downwards over the past few years, but union reps for flight attendants tell CTV News cases of disruptive passengers often go unreported, depending on the severity of the incidents. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Prime Minister Mark Carney wrapped up meetings with coastal First Nations in BC this afternoon. The possibility of a pipeline to the coast, marine conservation, and the role Indigenous communities can play in Canada's economy are believed to have been on the agenda.
Today is really about a dialogue. It's a dialogue of what's been happening in the region, the projects that have been led by the various First Nations here, the various opportunities that do exist, the imperative of conservation, how we have been doing on conservation. I mean, this immense, precious natural heritage, which is a huge responsibility for all of us, but is core to the identity of the First Nations here.
Coastal First Nations represents 9 First Nations. Tensions between the group and the federal government heated up last year after the feds signed an agreement with Alberta for a possible pipeline without meeting with Indigenous stakeholders first. Coastal First Nations have said members do not support a pipeline nor the suspension of the oil tanker ban. Automaking powerhouse Ontario does not want cheap Chinese electric vehicles in the market, but neither does Donald Trump. And as Abigail Beeman reports, the Prime Minister's Beijing trip could impact the upcoming talks on the Canada-US-Mexico Free Trade Agreement.
The U.S. president toured a Ford factory close to our border in Detroit and gave upcoming CUSMA trade talks a shrug.
It's irrelevant to me. Canada would love it. Canada wants it. They need it. Because we don't need Canada product. That's the thing. You know, I want to be a nice person, but we don't need. I want to build the cars here, not in Canada.
Donald Trump also doesn't want cheap Chinese EVs.
Thank you so much.
And flanked by Michigan lawmakers, Ontario Premier Doug Ford urged Mark Carney not to back down on Canada's 100% tariff on them during his trip to China.
It would not be good for Ontario and Canada, and it sure the heck wouldn't be good for the U.S., and it wouldn't be good when it comes to negotiating with President Trump.
Canadian government sources say to expect some progress on punishing canola tariffs, which China slapped on in retaliation for the EVs.
They've been absolutely devastating to the industry. We've lost over $1 billion Canada-wide. Frankly, just even for my farm, I'm just under $100,000 myself, and that really hurts.
But with Saskatchewan's premier now joining for some Beijing meetings.
Would you take Mo if you didn't expect some relief, some schedule of lower tariffs on canola? Probably not.
Many are wondering if that means EV concessions are on the table.
China's being very savvy in the way that it's picked areas to tariff to pit one region of the country against another. I think premiers have been very restrained in terms of their approach on this, in terms of not trying to divide the country against itself.
In a briefing ahead of the Prime Minister's China trip, federal government sources spoke of addressing trade irritants on both sides systematically, but wouldn't share details on conversations around canola or EVs. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
For the first time in days, some Canadians have been able to speak by phone to loved ones in Iran, though internet remains cut off. This comes as regime officials say thousands of people have been killed in protests that have been met with brutal force. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
These are some of the images airing on Iranian state TV, which are said to show the aftermath of nationwide protests that have been met with brutal force. For the first time, authorities have given an overall death toll, 2,000 people killed, while also blaming the United States and Israel of inciting the protests.
The young one, they will participate.
Dr. Shahram Azam knows just how ruthless the Iranian regime can be. He was a doctor in the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps when in 2003, the regime arrested Canadian photojournalist Zara Kazemi, who was later brought to his hospital. He says Kazemi was missing fingernails, had a broken nose, and her skull was fractured. There were also signs of rape. She later died.
There wasn't any chance it happens by accident. At least she was beaten, if not torture.
In 2005, Azam, his wife and daughter fled to Sweden and applied for asylum in Canada. In the 2 decades since he left, he's watched protests unfold in his home country, all met with brutal force. But he says these protests, happening in both big cities and small towns, feel different.
And I hope it's the end of this brutality, this regime, and these things happening to my people.
The extent of the protests and subsequent crackdowns in Iran are difficult to gauge as internet remains cut off and phone service is spotty. Protests have also spread to cities around the world, including here in Toronto, where this afternoon members of the Iranian community gathered outside the U.S. consulate. Today, U.S. President Donald Trump told protesters in Iran that help is on the way, but declined to clarify what that means.
Trump has vowed to intervene militarily on behalf of the protesters, encouraging them to keep demonstrating. While the U.S. had previously said they wanted to find a diplomatic solution, today Trump said all meetings with Iranian officials have been canceled. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Scientists with the U.S. Geological Survey are keeping an eye on an active volcano in Hawaii. Lava is continuing to fountain inside the crater of the Kilauea volcano, reaching heights of about 250 meters. The next such episode is expected in about 2 weeks, but more data is needed to get a better forecast. The movement of flows will likely continue for the next several days. One of the world's most active volcanoes has been erupting periodically since December 23rd of 2024. Kilauea is located in a closed area of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park.
Hello, my name is Michelle Alders, and on behalf of Guston House, I would like to invite you to our upcoming concert on Friday, January the 16th at 7:30 p.m. at St. John's Anglican Cathedral, featuring Juno Award-winning pianist Philip Chu, who will be performing works by Schubert, Debussy, Mampu, Ginastera, Villalobos, and Percy Granger. For tickets, go to gustonhouse.ca. So what's the weather going to be like?
Well, Michelle, the weather is going to be perfect for a time to be indoors and enjoy the event because as of Friday, it's going to cool down slightly. -12 around 7:30 start time. With that wind chill, it might feel a little bit cooler, so keep that in mind. Also partly cloudy, but for more information, head to gustonhouse.ca. Currently in Saskatoon right now, it's -1, -3 in Prince Albert, and 0 in the Battlefords. Calm winds there. Our high today, 4, slightly warmer than, well, a lot warmer than seasonal and slightly colder than our record high at 6. That was set in 1942. Now the record low was a chilly -46. That was set in 1916. The sun went up 10 minutes after 9 and it went down at 5:20 p.m.
Coming up, building stronger relationships within Saskatchewan's court system. A look at a Saskatchewan initiative.
Saskatchewan teams topped the Canada West in women's basketball. Wednesday on Your Morning, we are in conversation with the 12-0 Regina Cougars as they continue to climb the national standings.
Welcome back. Well, you can see the sun is setting. Lots of beautiful colors there. We got some orange, some blue. A nice ending to a nice day. We got some sunshine and plus temperatures throughout most of the day. Pretty moderate winds. And tomorrow will be a bit more of the same. For now, let's take a look at our radar and satellite. Pretty quiet throughout, some cloud coverage. Not much in terms of active weather. And again, we still have that high pressure system that's allowing that Pacific air to move in. That's causing some of these warm conditions that we're seeing. So a nice end to that. Right now, -1 in Saskatoon, some flurries in Prince Albert, -3, calm in Battlefords, and 0 degrees there. Maple Creek, our hot spot in the double digits at 10. Collins Bay, our cold spot, at a chilly -28 right now in the province. It's 1 in Estevan, Regina, -8 in Yorkton, -3 in Prince Albert, 0 in Kindersley, Rosetown, the Battlefords, 2 in Watrous, Milford, and Nipawin. Quite a bit colder. Same with Hudson Bay there. We have temperatures in the double digits. Same for Sandy Bay, Island Falls, South End, Collins Bay. It's quite cold right now. Temperatures in the -20s. Don't like seeing that. Maple Creek, 6, Leader, 3, Elbow, 0. Temperatures hovering around the 0 degree mark for Assiniboia, Indian Head, Weyburn, Melville. Cooler than the rest at -8 there. So not looking too bad tomorrow. Lots of cloud coverage across the province. Some freezing rain and snow for areas north of Prince Albert. Pretty calm areas south of Prince Albert, and some moderate winds tomorrow. La Ronge, 3. Stony Rapids, Key Lake, expecting some of those flurries there, possibly freezing rain, foggy in Buffalo Narrows. Mix of sun and cloud in Spiritwood, Kindersley, Rosetown. Temperatures on the plus side. Mainly sunny and, I should say a mix of sun and cloud in Maple Creek, Leader, Outlook, Swift Current. Maple Creek shaping up to be pretty nice, plus double digits. -1 in Yorkton, 1 in Regina and Estevan. Pretty much cloudy in Melfort, Watrous, Humboldt. Temperatures around that freezing mark there. A few clouds tonight in the Battlefords. Tomorrow, sun and cloud and a high of 2. Winds coming from the west at 20 kilometers. Thursday, it's going to be quite windy and some sun and cloud coverage there. Then on Friday, we see the minus temperatures creep back in. Sunday, we see a minus double digits. But so far, not looking at too bad. Prince Albert, cloudy, 30% chance of flurries tonight. Tomorrow, cloudy, winds coming from the northwest at 20, a high of 2 degrees. Thursday, also windy, quite cloudy. And then Thursday night, we see those minus double digits. Friday, again, minus double digits. It cools off significantly. And overnight, we see minus 24, so it's looking to be pretty cool. And then in the weekend, it's minus temperatures. Not too happy about that. In Saskatoon, -6, partly cloudy. Tomorrow, 1 degrees and cloudy. Winds coming from the southwest at 10, so very light winds there. Thursday, windy and cloudy. Friday, that's when we start to see that cold front move in, -9. And then overnight, we start to see those minus temperatures in the double digits as well. So it's not looking very good. The creator of the popular comic strip Dilbert has died. Scott Adams announced in May he had been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. His comic strip that lampooned office culture and bad bosses ran from the 1990s until 2023, when Adams faced backlash over racist comments about Black Americans. Adams' ex-wife, Shelley Miles, announced his death during today's episode of a YouTube show he hosted, Coffee with Scott Adams. Adams was 68 years old.
Listen here, this ain't no house party.
After picking up 2 Golden Globe Awards Sunday, Sinners is now a top nominee for the 57th annual NAACP Image Awards. The Michael B. Jordan film scored 18 nods in the motion picture category. Bel Air leads the TV categories with 7 nominations, while Kendrick Lamar leads all the music nominations with 6. The ceremony will take place February 28th. One of the biggest musical acts on the planet is coming to Toronto this summer. BTS announced a world tour today. There will be more than 70 dates from April 2026 to March 2027. And that will include 2 shows at Toronto's Rogers Stadium on August 22nd and 23rd. It is also the first tour for the K-pop group since 2021-2022. BTS has been on a nearly 4-year hiatus while all members completed South Korea's mandatory military service.
All right, Stacey, you were learning how people can help feed the community in the coming days.
Yeah, Chantel, and one cook is fighting the winter blues one sandwich at a time. Hello, I'm joined with local cook Felicia Fox, who this upcoming Monday will join a group of volunteers in making sandwiches for the community here at the Legion along Spadina. And Felicia, first off, can you tell me a little bit about Blue Monday Sandwich Day and why you guys began this initiative?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Stacey, for having me today. Blue Monday is coined Blue Monday because the third Monday of every January is known as the most depressing day of the year. So I wanted to do something on that day to make it a bright spot for people in the community. So last year, I started Blue Monday Sandwich Day because sandwiches are fun and easy and everybody likes a sandwich. So along with the Legion and a group of volunteers and also our sponsor, Park Funeral Home and Hillcrest Funeral Home and Cemetery, they sponsored a whole bunch of food for us to make sandwiches. So I started this just to help the community, to give back to the community, and to make it a bright spot in the drabs of January.
For sure. And how can people help you help the community?
Amazing question. I would love for people to reach out to me. Contact at foodwithfeliciafox.com is my email. I would love volunteers, and I would love all kinds of donations. So we need sandwich making supplies like bread and buns, meat, cheese, all of the things that you put in a sandwich. I would love to receive as a donation, and also your time. I would love volunteers to come down and help make sandwiches because we have a lot of people to feed in the city.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today, Felicia.
You're welcome, Stacey.
All right, Stacey, pick of the day is all about the great outdoors.
Yeah, people are really taking advantage of the nice weather. So our first photo here was sent in by Danielle. She says, the igloo my husband built in the backyard in Saskatoon. The beautiful weather yesterday allowed us to be outside with the kids and finish the project. I love the colors they incorporated. It seems very structurally sound. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Chantel. And with the price of housing, Danielle, maybe you can make me one of those. Anyways, this next photo is sent in from Brad and Pam Howe. It's the sunrise on Humboldt Lake. This was taken on Sunday, and a beautiful mix of colors there. So great photography skills, Brad Howe, one of our regular contributors. Now we have some photos from Jody. These were taken outside around the Saskatoon area. This one shows the cityscape with the Besbro. Very nice. You can tell some of that snow is starting to melt. This one with the train bit bridge in the background. Again, Jody, great photography skills, I must say. And if you want to send in a photo, you can do so at cfqcnews.ctv.ca. Make sure you put pick of the day in the subject line, and you can also scan that QR code too.
Still to come on CTV News, building bonds in Saskatchewan's justice system. What's being done to strengthen the ties between courts and the communities.
Greetings, everyone. No matter the circumstances, appearing in court can be a stressful situation. That's why Cody First Nation is adding some support, which is being welcomed by the Kamsack court system and surrounding Indigenous communities.
Cody First Nation closed 2025 with an important step toward truth and reconciliation. The First Nation is launching a new initiative to provide cultural support in the justice system.
This will open doors of healing and cleansing and possibly lowering the rate of our people that are coming to court.
As of the new year, there will always be an elder at court for those who need guidance, including victims and offenders.
Let's help them, through prayer, through smudging, through letting the elders sit here. It's really great to know that We'll have elders sitting in here when they come through the courthouse doors. They have somebody to talk to.
Judge Derek Mahar was in attendance at the blessing ceremony at the Kamsack Courthouse in December. He welcomes the initiative and recalls a previous case in which such counsel made a difference during court proceedings.
So having that elder here unsolicited, a nice man who just shared with the young man, and he gave him advice and direction. And I think ultimately that young man made the right decision.
The initiative was spearheaded by Cody First Nations cultural coordinator a year ago when he realized there is a crisis in his community.
We started having meetings with Sergeant O'Neill and started talking about things that we can do to improve our relationships between the justice system and our communities.
The chief of nearby Kisiku's First Nation said it's monumental to move forward with the program.
Having that opportunity to pray, to smudge, to have those, whether it's the traditional way or whether it's Christian, Catholic, whatever faith denomination, just having that support, having those prayers is very powerful.
Cultural services will be available at the Kamsack Courthouse on Tuesdays. For Indigenous Circle, I'm Frugina Declut in Kamsack.
If you have a story you would like to see in this segment, here's how to reach us. You can contact me by email, and you can also watch past episodes and segments of Indigenous Circle on our CTV Regina and CTV Saskatoon websites.
Indigenous Circle, brought to you in part by Saskatchewan Indigenous Enterprise Foundation, growing the First Nation entrepreneurial spirit.
When we come back, changes coming to the Saskatchewan Rattlers, and later, officer recruitment to look at some new traffic police.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at our rural forecast. Mainly on the western side of the province, we see some sun, mix of sun and cloud, and then on the eastern side, we mainly see cloudy conditions. Temperatures all on the plus side across the board here. We got Meadow Lake at 5. Now, I did check that wouldn't be a record-breaking. Their record for tomorrow would be a high of 6 degrees, but it's close. It's still pretty warm for the area. Lloydminster 4, Spiritwood 4, Kindersley 3, Outlook 2, 1 in Wynyard, Watrous, Melfort, Hudson Bay 0 there. Then as we move more south, temperatures warm up a bit. Maple Creek double digits at 12, East End Cypress 5, Rockglen some mainly sunny conditions there. 4 in Assiniboia as well, 1 in Pilot Butte, Lumsden, Kenora and Carlisle are only outliers there at the low freezing temperatures, a high of -1 tomorrow. Now let's take a look at Carnduff, where internet plans of to 1 gigabyte are available from SaskTel. Carnduff's also looking pretty nice there. Mix of sun and cloud, 1 degree, and some moderate winds.
CFL winter meetings are underway in Calgary this week. Among the things being discussed, the league's rule changes announced last September. Donovan May says more.
After sweeping rule changes were announced by the CFL in September, the league is taking the next step toward their implementation and exactly what they may look like on the field.
Once the 25 season concluded, you have a little bit more time to look at those things and some of the things that are being proposed.
It's a part of the league's winter meetings this week in Calgary as coaches and general managers discuss the new rules with the league for the first time.
We're here to sort of figure all this out and make it work, right? So I'm looking forward to hearing all sorts of different thoughts and perspectives.
I want to know kind of the details of it and more of the intricacies of what we're talking about. So, I think that some of them are outside the box, which are interesting.
Other topics and potential changes are also on the agenda.
Straight to the left, backs in, over the plane to the goal line.
Including modifications to short yardage plays, overtime formats, playoff structure, free agency, and a review of the replay center's mandate.
Sometimes there's things that come up that you didn't think that you had too much of an opinion on, and then you realize like, oh man, actually I do. So just excited to hear everybody's brain.
Make sure you don't change too much because you'll never know which rule made the difference, which one didn't. Play football and then figure it out from there.
In his State of the League address at the Grey Cup in November, CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnston reiterating his office's commitment to a uniquely Canadian game.
The new rules embrace innovation and perpetual improvement while protecting what makes Canadian football special.
Adding rules like 3 downs and 12 players on the field are not going anywhere. Donovan May, CTV News, Regina.
The Saskatchewan Rattlers are parting ways with their general manager and vice president of basketball operations. The club making the announcement today that Barry Rollick's contract is not being renewed following the 2025 season. Rollick spent 7 seasons with the team. Prior to that, he spent 14 years as head coach of the U of S Huskies men's basketball team. A reason for the move was not provided, but the Rattlers did wish him and his family well and highlighted his accomplishments with the team. Recruitment for a new GM is underway, with the team promising what it calls a new era of basketball being unveiled soon. A significant funding announcement from the federal and provincial governments coming during today's crop production show in Saskatoon. Federal Minister of Agriculture Heath MacDonald joined Saskatchewan Minister of Agriculture David Merritt to announce $9.7 million to support crop research in Saskatchewan. It includes $7.2 million for 39 new crop research projects and $2.5 million to study long-term management of herbicide-resistant kochia and wild oats. Some of this year's crop projects include evaluating the performance of subsurface drip irrigation, resistance to wheat stem sawfly, increasing tolerance to drought for lentils, and validating bale wrapping material made of flax straw and oat hulls.
This ADF program is really valuable in that sense. We can address needs for industry and producer groups, do the necessary research, but also making sure that we're addressing relevant questions for farmers in Saskatchewan and in Western Canada in general.
The money is through ADF, the Agriculture Development Fund, under the Sustainable Canadian Agricultural Partnership. Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon is just over $1.20 a litre. The lowest price in town is holding steady at $1.149. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco finished the day at $151.12 and Nutrien jumped $2.74. Coming up, taking RoboCop to a new level. Then a daring dip as we wade into the new year.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Stay with us for another great night of television, starting tonight at 7 with Will Trent. Well, China is enlisting the help of some new police officers. 4 robotic traffic officers are now on the job. The robots can be on duty 24 hours a day, gathering traffic information and directing vehicles. They are equipped with the latest AI chips and multiple cameras, as well as laser radars. The robots can also connect to traffic lights and traffic management systems and will help human traffic police during peak hours. So, interesting invention.
I think robots can do everything nowadays.
We really many things. This is true.
Like we're in the future now.
I'm waiting for the toilet cleaning robot.
Yes, so, yeah, that would be very helpful.
Well, some brave swimmers are taking to the water in Germany. The Berlin Seals is a swimming club that has been doing winter dips for 40 years. They braved lows around -8 on their latest swim. The club goes swimming every Sunday from mid-September to the end of April. And Stacey, it's so popular, they've actually had to cap membership at the 190 people they currently have. So
maybe they have room for two more. Are you up for a little swim?
Well, we'd have to go to Berlin, so.
Exactly, a nice little trip.
Maybe by summer. Do they do a summer?
Maybe we could start one up in Saskatoon here.
I'll let you be the president. You start that.
I'll organize the costumes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Right now, it doesn't seem too bad to be
right now
swimming
we'll
outside.
have to wait for the weekend if we want those cool temperatures, because right now temperature's not too bad right now. Again, we'll see a warm up in the afternoon. Starting in the morning, we'll have those minus temperatures. But overall, considering our seasonals around 10, not too bad.
All right, thanks for watching.